don't make history go away by taking statues. All right. Well, good evening. Let's get started. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Town of Wendell Board of Commissioners and welcome you all here tonight. We're so happy to have such a nice crowd. See a good, large crowd. That always makes me excited. Our Pledge of Allegiance tonight is we're going to be led by Liz Blow, who is a student at Wendell Middle School. If you can come stand up here, please. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Elizabeth, or as most people know her by Liz, she told me she'd rather be called Liz, stands here today as a model of character. She has become an integral part of the media program and library leader, a robotics team leader, MTAC committee member, and D&D dungeon master. Liz is passionate about learning, which is contagious to the students who interact with her in the media center. Liz demonstrates leadership. She recruits readers and club members. She's proactive in organizing others. She serves on the Media and Technology Advisory Committee, and she gives thoughtful input to improve Wendell Middle School's Library Learning Commons. And this is from the principal. I trust Liz to carry out any assignment I give her, no matter how difficult or complex. She accepts responsibility for any challenge, tackling all problems with a positive attitude and clever solutions. Wendell Middle is better for having Liz in their student body, and I'm better for knowing Liz along with her journey to high school. She has my full respect, and I'm sure she'll have yours soon. Actually, this was submitted by Ms. Dexter. So, wow, that's high praise. So congratulations. You sound like an outstanding student. We're happy to have you at Wendell Middle School and have you here tonight. So if you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under all, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again so much for being here with us tonight, Liz. Our invocation tonight from the Wendell Council of Churches, we're going to hear from Errol Briggerman. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Errol.
If I may start by first off thanking the Chamber of Commerce for their food drive they did for the Wendell Council of Churches we have 3 pantries here in town. That was awesome. They really did a great job. In fact, we're going to sort all of that Thursday night over at our church for the 3 churches. And then this weekend, I think it was 5 churches helped us do this. We put out 2,447 bags for our fall food drive. And that will all be picked up this Saturday, and what an awesome community. This is the most giving community I've ever lived in my life. These folks are awesome. Everyone here is. So anyhow.
Thank you. You need to remind everybody to fill up those bags and leave
Fill up the bags Saturday morning at 10. We'll be around to pick them up, rain or shine.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
All right, let's pray. Lord, thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. Thank you, Lord, for this awesome community, for their giving hearts, for their care, for their brothers and sisters within our community. We just ask you, Lord, to be here tonight, watch over our council as they have decisions to be made, which, Lord, will please you. We just ask you, Lord, to bless what happens here tonight. We ask you, Lord, to watch over our community and just continue to bless us. For all these things we ask in your blessed name. Amen.
All right, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
And there's no one signed up for public comment period tonight. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item number 4 is the recognition of Wendell Middle School teacher Carrie Ann Mutu Johnson. You can come stand at the podium so we can properly embarrass you. This was submitted by the principal at Wendell Middle School. It is my great privilege to share with you one of Wendell Middle's truly phenomenal rock star teacher leaders, Miss Carrie Ann Mutu Johnson. She is an invaluable asset to the Wendell Middle School community. This year marks her 3rd year at our school as a 6th grade social studies teacher. Prior to joining the Wendell Middle family, she spent 5 years teaching elementary at Carver Elementary. So you've been here in Wendell for a while. In addition, Ms. Mutu Johnson grew up in the Wendell area. After graduation from Meredith College, she returned to her roots in eastern Wake County to teach youth in her hometown. She brings an incredible energy to our building, and the profound influence she has on her students goes way beyond the classroom. Ms. Mutu Johnson helped found the Wendell Middle School STEP team and is also actively involved in our athletics program as a coach. I think you are coaching volleyball. Is that correct? I've seen some pictures and things of that lately. Ms. Mutu Johnson consistently distinguishes herself as a leader and is constantly seeking out ways to make our school better for all the students and families we serve. We just wanted to have you here tonight to thank you for everything you do for our students here in Wendell, particularly at Wendell Middle School, and recognize all of your hard work. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, and it's my honor. I love being in Wendell. I love teaching in Wendell, and I love seeing you guys around, so thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure. Thank you. Right. Item number 5 is a presentation on Wake County Social and Economic Vitality Initiatives. We're going to hear from Eastern Regional Center Director Darrell Blevins and Social and Economic Vitality Program Manager Verna Best. Thank you both for being here with us tonight. We're looking forward to what you have to tell us.
Well, good evening, Mayor Gray and Board of Commissioners, and thank you so much for having us here. We also have another colleague, Sydney Klein, who's our Food Security Program Manager, who's also going to provide a bit of information to you. I'm really excited to share some information with you about the social and economic vitality work that is going on, which is actually a collaborative effort between Wake County Human Services and the North Carolina Cooperative Extension. Just to give you a little bit of background information in case anyone is not aware of it, the Wake County Board of Commissioners a couple of years ago adopted social and economic vitality as a goal to look at 2 geographically challenged regions in the county, one being Southeast Raleigh, and I'm going to share that a lot of information that I share tonight may have a Southeast Raleigh connotation to it because this effort is new and we're trying to bring the efforts as strongly into the eastern part of the county as we've done in the Southeast Raleigh area. But the 2 geographically challenged areas that the commissioners looked at were Southeast Raleigh and then Wendell, Knightdale, and Zebulon. And basically, for those of you here that may not know, what the research showed is that there were higher levels of unemployment, age dependency, low educational attainment, housing vacancies, and persons living in poverty in the Southeast Raleigh area and in the eastern part of the county. So what the county commissioners wanted to do was to improve economic and social opportunities in those 2 geographic areas through very vital partnerships. So if you ask yourself, what is social and economic vitality? Our simple definition is that it's a long-term investment in community revitalization, which hinges on amplifying the residents' voice. So this is not an effort that's about what we can do to someone or for someone. It's all about having community residents assist with developing their own levels of economic self-sufficiency based on what they are willing to do in order to move themselves forward. This work is basically built on 4 primary cornerstones. Those are economic opportunity, educational advancement, health and wellness, and civic engagement. I've only been on staff for about a year and a half, not quite a year and a half, I don't think yet. And basically, the very beginning of my work was all about laying a foundation through building residential outreach and having a community-based presence. And so the way that we did that in the Southeast Raleigh area was through a group that was established in 2014 known as the Crosby Advocacy Group. This body of persons is primarily residents and partners, very similar to what the Eastern Regional Center has as their community development coalition. But primarily, this particular group was designated or brought together to increase awareness and participation in community-based events, again, bringing the residential voice to the forefront, establishing one of the county's underutilized buildings, which is the Crosby Garfield Center in the Southeast Raleigh area, as a vital resource hub for community engagement and service delivery. And then Southeast Raleigh is known for their rich history, and this organization wants to also honor that particular history. Through this effort, we have about 450 residents, partners, and staff connected. We have 3 action teams that have grown out of that group. Those 3 action teams deal with racial equity and social justice, primarily looking at things such as the school-to-prison pipeline, how to assist the reentry population, and utilizing restorative discipline as a way to keep young people out of the criminal justice system. We also have one on training for upward mobility and labor market value, where we are primarily looking to coordinate workforce development efforts from cradle to career. And the last one is the Community Leadership Development Group, which is looking at assisting parents in particular with becoming advocates for their children in school, teaching them how to be a leader at home, and then how to be advocates in their community. One of the things that we did that we hope to duplicate in this area as we were looking to build this center was to allow them to be surveyed. And a lot of times we don't like to survey residents, but that is one way to get very granular and good information from them. We had about 450 families that we surveyed, and as you can imagine, it may be similar in the East. Many of the things that they said they wanted or needed or were concerned about dealt with crime and safety. Housing, transportation was a big issue, jobs, employment readiness, mentorship, activities for youth, and mental health. As a result, when we opened the Crosby Garfield Center, we began having various trainings. That center is quite busy all of the time, and it's not just something that's operated from 8:30 to 5:30. We find ourselves going in as early as 7:30 to begin working with families, and sometimes we don't come out until about 9 p.m. So this is something that we wanted to make sure families would be able to take advantage of, and many of them work during the day. We sometimes make assumptions that persons living in poverty are not working, and many of them are. However, they need additional assistance in order to get the upward mobility that is needed. So you can see here, and I'm not going to go through all of these, some of the kinds of activities that we've done through the Crosby Garfield Center, and because that's in Southeast Raleigh, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. What I want to put it against is the work that we're hoping to do here in the East with the Greater Pleasant Grove Carver Center, and our partners from there aren't here with us tonight, but I'm sure many of you may be familiar with the Reverend Asa Bell, who is one of our partners in the East. And we're looking at how we can support this particular center modeled off of the Impact Center to help them get up and running with various human capital development activities. And I can tell you through our work so far with Social and Economic Vitality, we actually supported their Leadership Development Academy along with some summer programming that they did. It was about a 6-week summer camp with about 50 students who would not have had other options for summer programming. So we know that there's a large learning gap that takes place when students are out for the summer. So by them having opportunity to participate in this camp where we assisted them with their curriculum, with technology, we also had our FNET people on site. So we did, again, a collaborative effort to support the work that they're doing there. Coming up next month, we're also going to be working with them to start looking at the resilience documentary, which deals with adverse childhood experiences and trying to see how we can combat those. So we are in the infancy stages of working with the Carver Center, but we think the work that we're going to do there is going to be just as impactful, if not more impactful, than the work that we're currently doing in Southeast Raleigh at the Crosby Garfield Center. Partnership through building partnership through mini grants was one of the things that we did specifically here in the East, and I believe in giving credit where credit is due, and I wanted to acknowledge the very thoughtful and insightful work of Commissioner Jason Joyner, who worked with us through our process to do this work. So, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, and Darrell will share some additional information specifically about the ERC and the SharePoint site as he closes out our comments. But there is a SharePoint site where many of the agencies in the Eastern Regional Coalition all have access to this site. They can refer families to programs in the East kind of at the click of the button, real time. If a family comes in one center and they need a service that's available at the Carver Center or at Bear Up Ministries or some of the other nonprofits in this particular area, they're able to do that through technology. And at the time, at our last look, we know that even though this is in its infancy, there were at least 29 partner agencies who are profiled in that system. They've signed memorandums of understanding, and they've started screening and connecting families to services. We don't have the final numbers at this point, but we know we're at close to 100 families who have already been served through that particular effort. As a way to incentivize participation in that, we did mini grants in the amount of it was a total of $10,000. And on these slides, you'll see a few of the organizations who received some of that funding. So for example, if you're familiar with the Dorothy May Hall Women's Center, they received $3,400, and they were going to serve approximately 125 low-income working women with children, helping them with employment supports, transportation, and other basic needs. We also provided $3,500 to East Wake Educational Foundation for them to serve children over the summer with a STEM camp. It was 10 days. They served 45 different children, and they had 99 visits. And when they left that camp, they also had materials to take home that they could continue exploring with their parents. So we thought that would be very beneficial to those families. In addition, we understand that transportation is a huge need in the East, and we worked with Passage Home. We were able to provide them with $3,000 for short-term transportation assistance, and then we also were able to provide $2,470 to Zebulon United Methodist Church for their food pantry to help them with refrigeration so that they could provide fresh produce to families, and they were anticipating serving at least 5,000 families this year. So we believe, even though those were kind of small amounts of money, we believe that it did some good, and we'll have reports from each of those organizations as to how far that money went and what the outcomes were achieved as a result of those. Something else that we're really excited about is we are in the process of formalizing a memorandum of understanding with North Carolina State University, where they will be utilizing their resources with their staff and other resources to help us cultivate this work specifically in Southeast Raleigh and in the eastern part of the county. And we know that our institutions have lots of resources and they can really make a difference in our community. So we're looking forward to that work that is ahead. In addition, we were able to actually receive a national award for a signature strategy that we used, in particular in Southeast Raleigh. And I have a short video clip that I want to share with you. And I want you to see it because I believe this is something that we could actually duplicate in the eastern part of the county. What we did was a Southeast Raleigh Innovation Challenge. And our tagline was by the community, for the community, because when we developed this, it was done as a huge collaboration between Wake County Human Services, the City of Raleigh, United Way of the Greater Triangle, Carolina Small Business, North Carolina Cooperative Extension, Southeast Raleigh Promise, as well as a community co-design team made up of community residents and small businesses in the Southeast Raleigh area. The purpose of the challenge was to engage residents, and many of you may know that many times we don't hear a lot of good news coming out of Southeast Raleigh. So we wanted this effort to be something that would actually reignite a sense of pride and interest in the Southeast Raleigh community, while also giving people the opportunity to brainstorm and have seed money for some solutions to some of the challenges faced in that community. There was a $120,000 prize pool, and just very quickly, there were 50 initial pitches made. After that, we had another community workshop where 30 Our folks attended to receive training on how to become a successful entrepreneur. We had 25 participants to be accepted into a 6-week accelerator process where they learned everything from human-centered design to actually how to pitch their idea, how to budget, how to replicate it, all of those things. And then we had 5 Seed Capital Award winners and 5 finalists who competed for the $102,000 remaining dollars. I'll allow you to go through the slides at your own leisure to see how that money broke out, but you can see that much of it was spent in the area of technology. There was a barber school that was open. We had someone in health and wellness. We also had someone else in athletics and academia. But I want you to be able to see the video because I think it gives you a better perspective of how well it was rooted and grounded in the community. So if my tech skills will work, it's a very quick video.
As partners, United Way of the Greater Triangle, Wake County, the City of Raleigh, Southeast Raleigh Promise, and Carolina Small Business Development Fund are really committed to the idea that the people best suited to create solutions for their community are those who live and work there. So the Southeast Raleigh Innovation Challenge was a vehicle to do just that, providing a prize pool of $120,000 to support creative ideas that will fuel the economic engine of this historic and vital part of the city.
Southeast Raleigh is a community that is absolutely full of untapped potential. One of the things that is important to pulling out that potential is education. Not simply formal education as we often think about it, but education as it pertains to starting businesses, being entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, beginning organizations that meet the needs of community residents, as well as for-profit organizations that can hire individuals from Southeast Raleigh that can produce individual wealth so that we can have a community that is self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and just good citizens for themselves, their community, and their families.
There was a huge focus on the Southeast Raleigh community. That was pretty much the theme throughout the whole time, community, community, community. And it showed in every part of it. It showed in the Innovation Challenge. All of the people, all of the partners who came out to teach the classes were extremely, extremely helpful. They gave us advice about how to build our ideas. And one thing that they really, really encouraged us to do was collaborate and connect, because while this was a competition, Southeast Raleigh is still a community that is growing, that is vibrant.
There's a wealth of opportunity here, and this Innovation Challenge is amazing because it gives the opportunity to the residents of Southeast Raleigh who have innovative solutions to some of the issues that plague our community, and they're able to launch those solutions and actually work and help and improve the community that they live in and have grown up in.
So far, it has been amazing in terms of the connections that I've made, the information that I'm receiving. It definitely closes the gap between being a dreamer and a doer.
Whenever people come together and their whole goal is to achieve one common thing, you can do great things together. And so that is what United Way is all about. And I really appreciate this opportunity.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a glimpse of all things social and economic vitality as it relates to making sure, did I get it off? I don't know if I stopped it because I still hear it playing.
You don't need a browser open anymore, right?
I don't need that open anymore. Okay, thank you. So that is one of the things that we hope to be able to rally people around in the East, to actually be able to spur some innovation as in a way that is collaborative with community. Coming up soon, we actually tomorrow will have a nonprofit capacity building interest meeting where we're looking at co-designing a process similar to what we did with the Innovation Challenge. This is going to be held at the Eastern Regional Center. We have invited organizations, about 25 organizations from both Southeast Raleigh as well as the eastern part of the county, to come and speak with us, as well as the Institute for Nonprofits through North Carolina State University. We're going to talk about what we want to offer through that program, but more importantly, we want to assess the organizations to make sure that the presentation will be fitting for what it is their needs are. We know that many times our nonprofit organizations cannot compete for larger funding sources because they either don't have the appropriate board structure, or they don't have the appropriate financial management oversight, or they don't have good record keeping. And those are the things that are necessary to be able to record your outcomes so that funders will invest in you. So we're looking at providing this opportunity. Again, there'll be an interest meeting at the ERC tomorrow, and certainly anyone that is interested is welcome to join us at 5:30 there. In addition, we're going to be doing the building community resilience work, and I mentioned starting with the resilience screening at the Carver Center on November the 8th. And then you will hear from my colleague Sydney to talk about some coordinated efforts for food security in the eastern part of the county. What we know is that we wanted to give you a good glimpse of the work that we're trying to do. We hope we get an invitation back so that we can actually talk to you about the outcomes that we are achieving through this work. Of course, we are intentional about tracking, and what we want to see is that families are rising, their incomes are rising above the poverty level, that they're getting educational certifications, that they're finding employment opportunities that don't just have them as the working poor, but that they are able to have a self-sufficient lifestyle. So, I am going to stop talking at this point and bring up my colleague Sydney Klein to talk specifically about some food security matters. And then I think once Sydney is done, I won't come back. I will do the signature move of allowing someone that I call Mr. East, who is Daryl Blevins, to come up and take any of your questions, and then we'll close out our presentation. And again, we thank you for your time.
So I'm Sydney Klein. I'm with the Wake County Cooperative Extension, which is inside Human Services. I'm the Food Security Program Manager, and I started back in February. So I've been doing this work for almost 6 months now, and really finally getting my feet stable on the ground. So I wanted to share a little bit about food insecurity, a little bit in Wake County, but more specifically what it looks like in Wendell. And really not focus on the problem, but look at the strengths that you have and how we might build upon those to help more people have access to food. So food insecure person could be someone who looks average. They don't look hungry. They're not starving. They're not that picture that you see on National Geographic. It's just a regular person, and what they do is they just don't have consistent access. They may not know where their next meal is coming from. They might not have access to the nutritious food, whether that be because they don't have a grocery store nearby, or the only thing near them is a convenience store where it's typically processed foods, very little whole grains, very little fruits and vegetables. And so, you know, an elderly, especially on a fixed income, only gets $16 in SNAP maximum, or that's the minimum amount that they can get, and a lot of them only qualify for that. So you're on a fixed income, limited transportation. You know, how do you feed yourself? So that's where our pantries and all of that come in. But what we found is about 13.5% of Wake County residents are food insecure. What's more alarming is that of that, 33.6 of our children under age 18 are living food insecure. And on Friday I went to an event and I heard about this story. It just brought tears to my eyes because there was a high school student at Heritage, and the teachers found him rifling through the garbage can to find his lunch. And the students banded together and started to put food on a table for him so he would have food. And now they're putting a pantry in. But what might look like hidden hunger is very, very prominent in Wake County. It's, you know, it has some regions where it's specific, but really, when you look at it, it's everywhere. Because we are growing so fast, a lot of the hunger is getting broken down. We can't see where these folks are living. So we have Bill Schroyer in long range planning, and we have a full-time AmeriCorps member working on mapping food insecurity, and they're looking at several factors that can lead to someone being food insecure, whether it's economic standing, where they live, transportation around them. And you can see that in the social economic vitality zones, we do have a concentration of populations, and I think a lot of that plays into the rural nature of the area, so your population's more dispersed. But when we look at Southeast Raleigh versus Wendell, those are very different strategies that we need to implement in the areas. If we look at Wendell specifically, you can see some of the hot spots. But what I really like to focus on is the fact that you already have pantries in place. And I was really excited to have you here talking about a food drive, because what we've found is there's really some really great strategies to build on within the community to address food security. And in February of this year, the county commissioners adopted our Moving Beyond Hunger Food Security Plan. This is a document that the county paid to have drafted, and it's built off community input that took place over several months, and we implement it through the Capital Area Food Network, which is our local county food policy council. It's comprised of government, nonprofit, community members, churches, and they come together and help to shape how our community can collectively work to address hunger, to address food supply in the county. And it focuses on ensuring food access, providing communicate and educate, so that's nutrition education, developing a sustainable food supply, so that's supporting our farmers and making sure that we preserve our farmland, building economic opportunity. There's a lot of job training, and that's where I see social economic vitality playing a large role in this region. And then leading through networks, and that is why I'm here tonight. We are hoping to build municipal networks where you can really develop specific projects for your area. And the project is in year 2, actually, so 82% of these projects are already underway. And the town of Wake Forest has been the first town that has signed on to this plan, and I've been working with them. They have a council of churches that's really active in gleaning produce from farms that would otherwise be thrown away and putting that in the pantries. And then I've been working with their regional human service director, Ross Yeager, and also an elected, he was voluntold, he likes to say, from the town, Drew Brown, and he does their electricity emergency assistance program, so he's helping. We've held 2 hunger gatherings, and both gatherings had very different people, and we were really excited, and from that we've connected, just from those 2 meetings, connected people that didn't know how many resources they had in their community and how many people were engaged in this work. And I think it's really long-term going to move that work forward pretty quickly. The town has already agreed to put it on the website where people can access volunteer, and they've already provided 4 laptops so that the pantries can track clients and better understand the data that they're dealing with, and they're developing a circle there. And then moving forward, we really want to look at how the town is going to support their communications and outreach, support some pantries, and so we're going to continue those meetings. So I always like to end a presentation with a call for action. And I am just asking that the town of Wendell adopt or endorse the food security plan, and just kind of review and engage with it, because if you do this, it allows members of the town to use this as a guiding document. It helps give some structure and implement food security in areas where it might fit, and we can mobilize around it. And then from that, the best way to move forward would be to identify a point of contact for Wendell that could work with both myself and perhaps the churches, and really mobilize the community and figure out what specifically can Wendell do and what works with the resources and the community strength. I mean, y'all have a lot of people here, so this is much more than the Wake Forest meeting. So that is my hope for this presentation and for presenting to you. So thank you very much. I'm going to let Daryl. Oh, wow.
Finally, I get to say something. So, Mayor, thank you so much for having us. I mean, we're so excited about this work, and it's something. I've been out here for about 10 years now, and we have beat the bushes. I mean, the generosity in this community has been phenomenal. I mean, you know, we take care of our own in the East, and we've always done that. And I think what this provides us with is some framework to really move some work forward. And I'm really excited about the social and economic vitality framework that's being presented to us, because I've always been a real strong believer that, you know, you can give people handouts and it may get them through a day, but if you can get them to the point where they're self-sufficient and they can do things on their own, take care of themselves and take care of their families, I mean, that is much more sustainable, and it's going to benefit this community. So we're so excited about where we're going with this. This is something that has been proven and tested, and I'm excited about the work that Verna has put into, you know, developing this framework. And we're doing a lot of great things in the East, you know, already, and this is going to be something that's going to complement a lot of what we're doing. But it's all about the community, and so we don't have a definite axe as it relates to social and economic vitality from the board, but you know, just to have your support, to know what we're doing in the community, to help us mobilize the community around these efforts. And so we're excited about where we can go with this, and we're excited about how our citizens and our communities can benefit by this effort. So, thanks a lot for having us. If there's any other questions, we'll try to answer them, but I'm hoping sometime down the road we'll come back and give you guys some updates.
I have a quick comment. You said you hope to have an invitation to return. You have an open invitation. You just let us know when you want to come back, okay? And if you could send us that information that you're looking for us to consider to the clerk, I'd appreciate that, and we'll take it from there. If you would do that, please. And does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? Comments, questions?
Just want to, Ms. Best and I go back several years now from her previous job where, conveniently enough for us, she was addressing poverty on a statewide level and coming up with creative ways to do it on a statewide level. So having her doing it for Wake County, specifically Eastern Wake County, is something that really excites me. The fact that she and Mr. Blevins, Mr. East is that's a good name for him, working together. I got to, and I know I highlighted this right after it happened. If you want to see problems addressed by government in a super efficient, I've been known to kick the tires on budgets and things like that. And going through that process, it was like a think tank for Eastern Wake County, because you had every nonprofit in the area applying for a very specific set of problems that we were trying to address. And then around the table, you had community leaders from all different sectors assessing those. So community leaders are talking about the problems while looking at what outside groups were saying we should do to fix it. And there was a couple suggestions at the end, like, hey, look, these are really great funding ideas, but what if this group worked with this group? Yep. Well, without that process, those lines never get drawn. I have nothing but praise for Mr. Blevins and the work that the Eastern Regional Center does, and just want to thank you guys for continuing to look at Eastern Wake County and the problems that you can solve for us here. Thank you very much.
Can you real quickly, where do things stand with the Carver School, with what's going on out there?
Okay.
Can you just tell me what's going on?
Awesome. So some years, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I met with the leadership down at Pleasant Grove, and we actually took a road trip and went down to Rocky Mount to take a look at the Impact Center. I don't know if you've ever been to the Impact Center in Rocky Mount, but it is a phenomenal concept. And so we had an opportunity to go down there. We spent a whole day down there really just picking Pastor Gideon's brain about how did you guys do this? How do we begin to think like this? And so with that sort of being our framework and sort of being like, this is what we would like to do, we want to be an anchor agency in our community. We want to be somewhere where we can galvanize the community and create some synergy. So what has happened since then is through the Social and Economic Vitality Program, we were able to fund them about $12,000 to do some work really around kids and technology. And so our plan is to help them to continue to build a capacity to reach in other areas to assist families to becoming more self-sufficient. So the building itself, one of the things we initially talked about, okay, we need to try to, fix this building. Yeah. But that's like putting the cart before the horse. We need to build some infrastructure. We need to build some operational stuff. We need to make sure it's sustainable. And so our focus has sort of changed from like, let's advocate and promote and try to get the folks from housing to really take a look at this facility, more like how do we build some operational things in the community to meet the needs of the community around education, around employment, around technology and things like that. So that's sort of the focus right now, and really just trying to build that infrastructure so that if and when we get to the point of really trying to revitalize the school and have a real impact center, that the infrastructure is there to sustain that, instead of just let's put a whole bunch of money into a building and really don't have the operational structure in place to sustain it. So there hasn't been a lot of conversation around the building, but more about building some services and operations. Absolutely.
Okay. How can I get ongoing information about that, about what's taking place there?
So I think the invite you gave us today was great that we can come back. We would love to come back. We're getting quarterly reports from a lot of different nonprofits as a part of our coalition. Verna talked about the SharePoint site. The SharePoint site is really a neat thing. So what it is basically service providers in the eastern part of the county. Somebody presents to your organization what they need. They want to go to school. They need a job. They need food. They need housing. It is a electronic information and referral center system, and it uses spider technology to send information to providers who can help that family with that need. And so we're going to be pulling quarterly reports out of that. That's a way for us to feed the council information so you guys sort of know what's going on in our community around things like that. I think the work that we're talking about around the capacity building for our nonprofits to really help them, put themselves in a position where they can be competitive. These big nonprofits inside the Beltline are difficult to compete with. I mean, you're a small little nonprofit and you're trying to compete against the Raleigh Rescue Missions, and it's difficult. I mean, they are very well positioned. And so we want to help to build the capacity of our nonprofits that want to deliver services and assist families in the East. And so we're going to be doing something that is a great way for us to feed some of that information back to the council in terms of what we're doing around the capacity building. And then the innovation challenge is something that every time I hear it, I just get so excited because I know there's so much talent in the eastern part of the county. And some of these innovative minds just need that little nudge to say, okay, you can do this. And not to mention just giving them some seed to be able to do it. So we're hoping to replicate some of those things as well. So we're definitely going to be, want to be very involved in the council and giving you guys periodic updates on some of the progress that we're making. We are developing an action plan, so it'll be easy for us, Sherry, to get you that action plan on a quarterly basis, and you guys will have that information.
Thank you. Anything you want to email us is wonderful, and anytime you want to come in, it's great too.
Sounds great.
Love it. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
And one more plug: if you haven't seen the documentary we put together around foster care recruitment, if you haven't seen that documentary, it was done through East Wake TV. Please take a look at it because that went over so good. I mean, Commissioner Joyner, spearheaded that. Say, hey, look, Darryl, we need to do something. This is our issue. This is our problem. We need to do something about it. This is our community. And since the airing of that video, we've seen so many positive things have come out of it. We've actually seen an increase in the number of foster parents in the eastern part of the county as a result of it. So excited about opportunities like that and look forward to more opportunities like that as well.
Great. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, item number 6 is the recognition of the Public Works Department. We're going to hear from Public Works Director Brian Bray.
Madam Mayor and Town Board, I'm very pleased to bring the Public Works team before everyone tonight. We are fortunate to have implemented a new structure for the group with Manager Collins' assistance. This structure has allowed us to promote multiple individuals that were previously in active positions. We have also grown substantially due to the manpower you awarded us in the last budget year. With this growth and restructuring, there are many new faces and some familiar faces in new roles. So I'd like to take this time to introduce everyone and also explain their position within the group. So if we could start with Darryl Hales. Stand up. Darryl was promoted to the administrative superintendent. He was in an acting capacity before. Darryl is still code enforcement, so we can all rest easy. Still doing a fine job of that. He effectively has all of his old job duties plus many, many more, including inspections, managing our equipment and building maintenance, special projects, and contractor supervision. 2 senior reps report to Darryl as well as others when assigned. Thank you, Darryl. Chris Smith. Chris was promoted to operations superintendent. He had previously been in an acting capacity in that role as well. He oversees the day-to-day duties that include heavy equipment and heavy trucks, grounds maintenance, related work orders and scheduling. 2 crew leaders report to him on a daily basis. Thank you, Chris. Donna Wazak. Donna is our Public Works Administrative Assistant. She assists with solid waste requests for assistance, work orders, data entry, contractor appointments, code enforcement filings, and much, much more. Things are being added every day. We're very pleased that Donna will be joining us full-time, first of the year 2019. It's going to be a big help. Thank you, Donna. Robert Helms. Robert Helms was promoted to a heavy truck crew lead. He had been in an acting capacity in that. Robert has been a crew lead in the past, so he has a lot of experience. I think he's been here the longest of anyone in the Public Works group. He supervises the operation of the leaf, the limb, and the sweeper trucks while operating one of these type of vehicles on a daily basis. You'll usually see him out there at least 3 or 4 days a week in the leaf truck. All right. Thank you, Robert. Kenneth McLean. Kenneth had been in an acting capacity as well, and he's been promoted to the grounds crew lead. Kenneth supervises the grounds crew, whose operations involve the grass cutting, the sign maintenance, the street repair, the debris pickup. You see him around town all the time, normally with the crew with him. Thank you, Kenneth. Rick Mushton. Rick was promoted and then reassigned. So he's over in code enforcement as an Inspector 1, and he is currently training, but he's already, hit the ground running, doing a great job with Daryl. Rick's responsible for all aspects of compliance and inspections as assigned. He also participates in overseeing the concrete construction projects as well as participating in them if they're completed in-house. He's also still one of our core heavy equipment operators, so Rick can kind of get bounced around and is being bounced around quite a bit. Thank you, Rick. Robert Holst. Robert Holst has been reassigned as our maintenance technician. He's filled that role for many, many years. We have the ability now to put Robert in there so that we're not just doing reactive maintenance, but we're doing proactive maintenance as well. He's responsible for the majority of our in-house mechanical repairs and is also responsible for proactively identifying needs regarding the equipment and the vehicles and then passing that information forward. Thank you, Robert. Rex Johnson. Rex is a specialist 1. He's a truck operator. He's assigned to the heavy truck crew. He obtained his CDL since coming to the town of Wendell. While preparing for that, he was able to learn the route and also the operation of the limb truck, and now he is the lead operator for our current lead truck now. Out there at least 3 or 4 days a week in that truck. Thank you, Rex. Joshua Bedingfield. Josh is a specialist 1. He is assigned to the grounds crew generally, and he's in the process also of obtaining his CDL. He has an interest in heavy equipment operation and in the process of learning the operation of each piece of equipment that we have. Thank you, Josh. Austin Klosky. Austin is also specialist 1. He is assigned to the grounds crew, and he is in the process of attaining his CDL, but he's also learning all the different aspects of public works. Thank you, Austin. Tariq Wilcox. Tariq is assigned to the heavy truck crew, and he's the assistant on our current limb truck. He's currently learning the route and the operation on the truck while also prepping for a CDL license. Once he obtains that CDL, he'll likely be the lead operator on our current limb truck, and Rex will transition to the new one when it comes in, hopefully around the first of the year. Thank you, Tariq.
We're happy to have you.
And Ryan Whitaker is also a specialist 1. He's not here tonight. He's been sick for a couple of days, so he thought it best to stay home and not contaminate everybody. So we appreciate that. All right. Well, that is the group. It's my hope that everyone is a little bit more able to put a face to the names and to have heard a little bit of what these folks do. We're a group that has experienced great growth while also experiencing increasing demand for services and improved service. Each individual in this group has helped to improve our department in some way. We have a very good core, and we hope to represent the town well as this Public Works Department. In closing, I thought I would relay the fact that our manager oftentimes refers to the Public Works Department as the sword of the town. And we take great pride in maintaining this sword, and I think that oftentimes a properly maintained and polished sword can outshine even a jewel. So, thank you all for this time to recognize the group.
Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, can I add one thing?
Yes, somebody needs to say something.
Brian's our new Public Works Director. He's served in the interim capacity for nearly a year. I hope you can tell there's a invigorated morale in our Public Works Department. I'm proud of the work that they all do.
It's reflective on each of your character and how much you care about the community you serve, and it's greatly appreciated. You are the sword arm of the operations of our department. You and the police department get things done, and a lot of us are benefit from that. So thank you all for being here tonight. I know it's been a long day for you to start with, to be here this late, and see you first thing in the morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We do really appreciate everything that y'all do. So, item number 7, we're going to hear from Mr. Pulaski for a request by the Chamber of Commerce to host the upcoming annual chamber banquet at the community center.
Excuse me if I seem a little nervous. I've rarely turned my back to this many of the Public Works Department. So bear with me, and I may turn a little sideways so I can keep an eye.
They might try to stab you with a sword.
An eye over here, so I'm sorry. So on August the 6th, the Wendell Chamber of Commerce submitted a request to use the community center for their annual chamber banquet. The Parks and Recreation Commission met October the 1st and voted unanimously to waive that rental fee. The only thing that we cannot waive, if you'll notice on the last page of their application, are the 1 Parks and Recreation staff member, the 1 police officer due to it being an alcohol event, and the cleaning fee, which would leave them with a total of $530. Also tonight, Joe DeLoach, a representative from the Chamber of Commerce, is here for any questions and to kind of talk about the event just a little bit.
Thanks, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Joe DeLoach. I'm the unofficial spokesperson for the Chamber of Commerce tonight. First thing I want to do is I want to again recognize the Public Works Department. The Chamber is very much appreciative of your work during the Harvest Festival this year. Everything went off without a hitch, and certainly we want to make sure that you guys and gals know that it did not go unnoticed what you did. So thank you again for that. November 20th is the Chamber banquet. I am told that it's going to be an all Wendell event, as it should be. We actually have a local Wendell caterer that's going to do the food this year for us. We've got some other fun surprises set up. Not exactly sure what that means, but I imagine that it will be awesome as always. We have some awards to present to various businesses in town. We also have the Mayor's Award that we'll be presenting as well. So a true celebration of Wendell. We'll celebrate the town, the businesses, and the people. So we're going to send the invitations out next week, so keep your eyes out for that, and we appreciate the town's support with everything. We hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Mr. DeLoach?
Thank you.
So we're looking for a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the fee waiver request.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the fee waiver request. Is there any discussion? All in favor? All right. Thank y'all very much. Item number 8 is an update by board committees by town board members. The first one is the Technical Review Committee, Commissioner Carroll.
The last PRC meeting, we had Hardee's prelim plans, so everybody get excited about that. The barrage manufacturing was notified they could proceed to architectural drawings and preliminary discussion on 288 unit apartment out at Wendell Falls.
All right, thank you. Next one is mine. It's Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. We met last Wednesday, and on the consent agenda, we approved the LAP project adjustments. We scheduled public hearings for the Wake Transit Community Funding Area Program. We approved the 2018-27 TIP Amendment number 5. We had a public hearing for that, Schedule 1, and we also scheduled a public hearing for the Wake Transit Public Engagement Policy. We held hearings on Spot 5 division, and the needs point assignment, and we received information on the Wake Transit Plan update and lab update as to, available funding for that. The next one is mine as well, conference table. The conference table is an advisory group for the Wake County visitors industry. They gave us an overview over Destination 2028. It's a strategic 10-year plan that they are implementing. It was developed with input from each municipality. In fact, we met here right in this room with them. Myself, and I believe Commissioner Boyette and Commissioner Lutz were at that meeting. I don't know if y'all remember or not, but I'm trying to recall. The result of this is not just a bunch of numbers and a bunch of this town has this many of this and it could stand this. It's a plan of solutions to help get towns where they may want to be 10 years from now as far as tourism. Sounds funny to talk about Wendell and tourism, but we need some hotels here and we need some things here and some amenities, and different towns are doing different kinds of things, and that's what tourism is. You know, like I said, this means event venues, festivals, ball fields, hotels, and helps you set goals towards getting to those, and that's what we discussed at that. The next one is the East Wake Senior Center Auxiliary, and that's Commissioner Myrick.
That meeting was rescheduled to October 25th, so I will give a report at our next scheduled board meeting.
All right, great. All right, and now item number 9 is Commissioners' Reports. We'll start with Commissioner Joyner.
Madam Mayor, hats off, as always, to Public Works, but also to the manager and Mr. Bray. There's been a sweeping amount of changes, just to the organizational structure, but I think it's put best this way. When you go to an event on a Saturday, like we did during the Harvest Festival, to talk to a Public Works employee who's out there working on their Saturday, generally speaking for comp time, so and for them to encourage you, like, because you guys were so jacked up and you were taking so much pride in your work, you can see changes, and it's really cool to see those changes. I had the opportunity today to go out to the Coyotes expansion, groundbreaking. Pretty cool when you're a tractor company, you just paint the bucket gold, and that's how you do the groundbreaking. Yeah. I thought that was a nice highlight there, and very cool to see them growing as well. The whole area seems to be moving in that direction. Got nothing else?
Okay. Commissioner Boyette.
Yes, I'd also like to extend a hearty thank you to the Public Works. I know all the citizens see all y'all do every day, and I personally, on the fire department, I see y'all come out after hours to help clean up after storms and push trees out of the road and go above and beyond. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, and to those of you who are working on getting your CDLs, once you get it, don't let it go. Promise you don't want to ever let it go, because it's not an easy thing to get. I would like to shift gears just a little bit, and I hope you don't mind if I take just a few minutes, but recently an application for the Wendell Falls Charter School has been making the rounds, and it's 85 pages long. I don't think a lot of people are going to take the time to read through the whole thing. I've had a chance to peruse it a little bit. I'd just like to point out some comments that have been made in this application for a charter school to be put in Wendell Falls. I'm going to quote from this. They start off by saying that the capacity utilization for all public schools that serve grades K through 8 within 15 minutes is currently at 99%. That's just simply not true. The Lake Meyer Elementary, it was designed to be a year-round school. We run 4 tracks. They're currently running 1, and that's the closest school to Wendell Falls. It's not at capacity. There are some schools around here that are at capacity. Wendell Elementary's at capacity. We'll get to that in just a minute. And I'd just like to add, I'm quoting here from their application. Furthermore, academic performance of these schools is below average. No schools within a 15-minute drive time earned an A for the 2017-18 school year.
and only one earned a B, East Wake Academy, a charter school serving grades K through 12. Of the remaining public schools within the 15-minute drive time, 1 earned an F, 10 earned a D, and 7 earned a C, which averages to a low C grade for all schools within 15 minutes of our anticipated site. I think we all know that the grading system the state uses is not exactly equitable, and I think a lot of parents around here would take exception to saying that there are no good schools in Wendell or within a short drive of Wendell. Wendell Elementary was nationally ranked best magnet elementary school just a few years ago. I take extreme exception to a charter school application basically denigrating our public schools in order to win approval. I quote, "Currently, families in the community of Wendell lack quality school choice options." I disagree. And as the population grows and schools become increasingly overcrowded, their choices will only become more limited. The only reason choices will become more limited around here is because public school students are being siphoned off by for-profit. They claim they're nonprofit, but they're not. Charter schools, corporations from out of state. And while their board members are local, and by local I mean most of them are from Cary, while their board members are local, one has to wonder if they have Eastern Wake County students' best interest in mind. And if you'll give me just a second, I don't fault anyone. I have a 2-year-old, should be 3 in a month or 2, and I have a newborn, and they're going to go to school, and I want to support the public schools as much as I can, but I don't fault any parent for putting their kid in the best school that they can. And that becomes a problem when you basically use taxpayer money to support a private school and you don't really provide transportation to it, you don't really provide food, and it basically excludes all low-income students, and you basically make a publicly funded private school. I don't blame the parents for making that decision. I blame a corruption of what charter schools were intended to be. When charter schools were originally proposed, if they were to be a place for alternative learning environments. They were for kids who had behavioral problems. They were for kids who had learning disabilities. They were, a place for kids who didn't do well in traditional schools, to provide them a place where they could thrive. And I don't have a problem with that at all. But charter schools, at least on this side of the county, that's not what they've become. And I don't want to speak ill of East Wake Academy. I do think it's a good school, but it does not, it simply doesn't serve a valid cross-section of Eastern Wake County. It pulls students that are more affluent and higher performing, and pulls down the public schools around here. However, as a member of the Wendell Board of Commissioners, I don't think I'm going to have very much to say or very much to do with whether or not this application is approved or not. However, I do intend to hold everything they put in this application. I intend to hold them to it. One of the things is they will ensure adequate food, transportation, security, and custodial services for all students and applicants. And so I just want to follow down here in page 60 something. Give me just a second to find it. All right. It says that the Wendell Falls Charter Academy will encourage enrollment of economically disadvantaged students by offering support for families through participation in the NSLP transportation assistance, personalized education, and connections to community resources. So they are stating that they will provide transportation and food security. That's something we heard about tonight. In their application to the state, they make this statement. Both state and national research indicates that charter school populations often vary dramatically from the traditional school systems in which they are located, leading opponents to criticize charter schools for pulling the affluent families away from traditional schools. That's exactly what I just did. Charter schools have very little beyond marketing efforts to control the economic and racial makeup of the student population. Their words, not mine. The board recognizes that transportation cannot be a barrier to any child attending school. Therefore, school administration and their national board will assist parents with identification and coordination of transportation options to ensure transportation to the school is available to all students. That sounds great. They're going to provide transportation. This will include facilitating carpools and informing parents as early as open house of their transportation options. In the event ride sharing may not be achievable, the school may provide transportation through an agreement or contract with the local school district or private provider. If necessary, the school will contract with a district certified and licensed school bus company to provide transportation. If transportation is offered, the school will restrict transportation of students to those who live within a reasonable distance, generally considered to be within a 2 to 4 mile walkout radius of the school. That is not comprehensive transportation. It simply is not. And I don't know whether that means that you have to live further than 2 miles but closer than 4, or somewhere between 2 and 4, or somewhere closer than 2. It never really gets into that. And it also says that they may provide that. It doesn't say that they shall. It says that they may provide that. As far as food security goes, unlike East Wake Academy, they do state that they will provide food. However, it will be for purchase. And the only thing that, the only statement they make regarding whether or not a child will be able to afford to pay for this food is that regardless of their account balance, no child will ever be denied a meal. That's their only statement as to what's going to happen because they claim they want 50% free and reduced lunch children. They state in their application that they want the population to reflect the population that their school is situated in the location they're situated in, and that's 50% around here for free and reduced lunch. And so I'm very curious to see how they're going to operate with 50% of their children getting free and reduced lunch. You're right, it's probably higher than that.
It is higher than that.
And so like I said, I don't have, this board doesn't have much control over that. However, I intend 100% to make as much noise about this as I can. And everything they put in this application, I 100% am going to hold them to it as to the best of my abilities. I think the schools around here, while all public schools can use some improvement, I have no qualms about it. Several guys I work with were very concerned they weren't going to be able to get their child into Wendell Elementary. I mean, there was a wait list. And to say that the schools around here offer no viable, no credible options is absolutely ludicrous, and it's a slap in the face to all the hard work that the people around here, the teachers do around here, and the parents do around here. And so I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. I just wanted to bring it up, and I just wanted you to know you're probably going to be hearing more about it from me later. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Myrick?
Just real quick, thank you again, Public Works, and Brian, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Is that it? Commissioner Lutz?
No comment tonight.
Commissioner Carroll?
No comment.
I'm sorry, getting over a cold. I have several things, so I'm going to try to go fast. I've said it a million times, but thank you, gentlemen, for everything y'all do for the town. I really appreciate it. I'm so proud when I go by and I see y'all out there doing things, and when people stop me and tell me they did this or they did that, and little kind gestures that you've made to people along the way. They're very eager to tell me about it, and I want to thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I also want to echo congratulations to Cody. Commissioner Joyner and I were out there today along with Ms. Scoggins and Mr. Collins for their groundbreaking. We appreciate the invitation and being included and congratulate them. They are having a 150,000 square foot expansion, which is huge. So I'm proud of them for that. I had a quick question, if Mr. Pulaski is still here, about any changes that may come up in the tree trail. So if you'd like to tell us about that real quick.
I did. Today we kind of game planned, seeing that the percentage has been going up all day for Friday rain. It's up to 75% chance now.
Yeah.
Today the staff and I game planned for our rain plan is doing it inside the community center and still just going with Friday. We've got a lot of planning in on this event. I can't ask a lot of these businesses to come back on a different day or even the next day. So we're planning on going forward on Friday, inside or out. So we're just trying to work out some of those logistics with having it indoors.
Okay, so you've got a plan B.
Plan B.
So it's going to happen no matter what.
Not a happy plan B,
Be
but
there,
it's
be
plan
square.
B.
Because I have 2,500 Tootsie Pops on my dining room table, so we've got to do something.
Brian Bray said you could take him to his office, he would take care of him. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, speaking of food pantries, this year you are doing a food drive as well in conjunction with the treat trail. So please, that will be continued, I assume. Quick reminder that the Council of Churches is hosting their 2018 Fall Food Drive. I know all of you got bags on your porches. Please fill those up and leave them out. Don't do like me. I forget every year and then have to go track someone down. But if you put them back out there by next Saturday, they'll pick it up for you and collect it. This Saturday, Turnip Seed Nature Preserve is having their grand opening. We're real fortunate to have so many great new parks opening right here around us. So I urge you to go out there and check that out if you haven't been. Cruisers is having their grand opening this Saturday. The ribbon cutting is at 9. Then they're going to have a DJ and games and raffles and several things like that from 10 to 2. The Wendell Falls is having a trick or trot 5K in conjunction with the Wendell Appearance Commission. That is Saturday, October 27th from 4 to 6. They hope you'll wear a costume, but you don't have to, and run. And like I said, the proceeds go to the Appearance Commission for beautification projects, so that should be a lot of fun. The Eastwake EMS main station that we've all been watching be built for what seems like forever is going to have their grand opening on Wednesday, October 31st at 10. They are open and operational now, but we're going to have an official opening. And I have a couple things I also want to tell you about. I'm going to try not to go too long. I serve on the executive board for the Eastwake Education Foundation that's just right across the street here. And at a recent mayor's meeting, we were hearing a speaker from an organization called the Kaleidoscope Project in Wake County. And they are a collaborative community initiative, and they focus on emotional and social development of Wake County children. And it's funded by the John Rex endowment. And at that meeting, they told us they were looking for a location to showcase best practices for what their organization promotes outside of Raleigh, because they believe that Raleigh had so much of that kind of thing that they wanted some other areas in Wake County, thank goodness, to get some attention. It's rare that you hear that. So when the lady got up and left, I followed her out into the parking lot. I'm glad you didn't think I was stalking her, but I just got up and followed her out into the parking lot and talked to her about the Eastwake Education Foundation and told her what we do there. And she talked about the things that they have in Raleigh. I mean, these people are part of Marble's museum. I mean, they're the real deal in Raleigh. And she said at that time they were looking to do a grant and maybe spend about $5,000. Well, you know, they're a nonprofit over there. $5,000 is great. So she's been here and met several times, and she was so very impressed with everything that they do that it has grown and grown, and now it has turned into a $60,000 grant and a complete overhaul of the inside of that building. Someone from the Museum of Science in Raleigh is going to come, and they're going to completely overtake a room and make it to a science room for up to 5-year-olds. What else are they gonna have? There's a lot of details. Science room, I can't remember what all, a reading room. They're gonna help them with programming. There's gonna be a lot of parent instruction, just tons of stuff. I did invite them to come here and speak. The ladies that are over there, this is a wonderful thing for Wendell and for the kids that live in Wendell. That crowd has really, they've breathed a lot of life into that place here in the last year or so, and for them to have this is a tremendous accomplishment. These changes and improvements, I mean, I'm talking interior paint, new flooring, upgrading bathrooms, all of this is going to happen in December. So this is getting ready to take place, and they'll be finishing off probably a little punch list in January. I've invited Shannon White, who's the executive director, and Brooke Atkins, she's the programming director, to come and tell us about everything that they've done once they're finished and they get to a point where they're ready to show it to everybody. But I'm very excited for them, and it's funny because we hear about lots of things. We all get tons of emails about different things, and it's very rare that one of them, you get to connect the dots and something really works, and I'm very excited that this is working for them. So I congratulate them on that success. This past Saturday, I attended a Spectrum Housing event here in Wendell. It was at least 30. They were expecting more, 30 Spectrum employees, and then some of the employees brought their families and older children that were teenagers, able to help. And they worked here on a home that they had chosen, and this is in the furtherance of an initiative that they have called Spectrum Housing Assist. And it's a commitment to improve 50,000 homes in their service area by the year 2020, and they've already done well over 25,000. They chose a house. It was a application process, and they chose a house here in Wendell, which is great. I really just wanted to thank them again. I did while I was there, for choosing someone in Wendell. This lady was very grateful, and she's invited me to come back and see the finished product, and I look forward to doing that. I'm going to go by and see her. It was really nice to see the private sector step up and do something like this. It's going to have such a tremendous effect on the quality of someone's life. So it's very nice, and we're happy that Wendell was chosen. While I was at the conference table that I spoke about earlier last week, Marty Clayton from Duke Energy came and sat with me and showed me on his phone a list of frequent outage areas in Wendell, where we have been collecting a list and putting together, and these 2 hurricanes that we've had back to back made patterns of those kinds of things kind of obvious. And I've had a few citizens comment to me, the manager has to him, and so it worked out to our advantage that we had this happen. So improvements and upgrades are being made in those areas. I think at the second hurricane, they did not have an outage in some near Hollybrook where they had in the first. There's no guarantees. I'm just convinced we're going to have a ton of ice this winter because we've dodged the bullet twice. But, ice is a whole nother game. But, hopefully just when there's thunderstorms, these groups, there's some pockets around town have had enough upgrades that they won't be impacted by so much of the milder weather. So that's a good thing, and I was pleased that he was very aware of it and attentive to it, and he didn't know I was going to be there. So he showed me and talked to me about the different things that they had done at each, and we went over each place and discussed each spot. The last thing I want to tell you is I attended this past Monday night the Wake County Mayor's meeting again, and we heard from Wake Med. We had the CEO of the Raleigh campus of Wake Med and the CEO of the Wake Med Cary, and they primarily were discussing seniors and senior health and strategies that they're implementing to keep folks healthy. They have implemented a lot of classes, and the main one that they're dealing with is about mobility. They said that the main reason that people wind up in the hospital when they're in their 60s and stuff and up is because of falls. And so they're doing some classes that they will come to different municipalities and do things about fall risks and things like that. I've passed that information along to the manager, and he may be discussing it with Mr. Pulaski, and we're gonna see if we can maybe have them come to Wendell and do some of that for some of our citizens here, maybe at the senior center and the community center. We have different populations that frequent both of those, and, if there's no cost, why not have them come to both places? So I think that will be a good thing, and hopefully will be helpful to some folks around here. I'm sorry for being so long, had a lot to fill you in on tonight. Do we have a, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to put it on my phone.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't know, but I have.